Hi, I'm Chris, and I don't know what's real.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I left the sword in the tree.
Gram. A gram of sword in the tree.
1 gram of one sword. Yeah. And we don't podcast.
But what we did do this week is review a video game for once. I know, another rare one.
Don't we only do movies on this podcast, Chris?
Primarily, yes. We're trying to branch out. We'll branch out.
We wanted to play a game, so we played a game.
Yeah, we played Hellblade. 1.
Hellblade 1.
I didn't expect you to say colon. Senua's Sacrifice, right? That's what it's called? Senua's Sacrifice?
Senua's Sacrifice, yes.
First, though, we have soda. We didn't make tea this time. We were lazy. But yes, we played... we played Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade. What did you think of the video game, Adam Wise?
I give it a juicy out of 10.
Okay, that's pretty good. I think. Yeah, because yours is the second tier, right?
Yeah, my scale for video games is either I don't give it a rating. If it's good, I give it juicy. And if it's really good, I give it juiciest. Yes. So I give it a juicy out of 10.
Yeah. So that's his rating. I think it's pretty good. I think the game mechanics get repetitive, especially
yes,
towards
there's
the
too
end.
much fighting in this game.
Yes, if there was less fighting, it'd probably be because I thought it was going to be primarily a walking simulator, and mostly it was.
Well, for like a good chunk of the game, it was.
Yeah. But. I mean, because the fighting essentially, for me, I don't know how it was for you, essentially just boiled down to just parry properly, and then that's kind of it.
For me, it wasn't so much the parrying. It was more of a dash heavy attack.
Oh, you
dodge back twice, dash heavy attack, and that works on pretty much every enemy.
See, I did I did that a couple times, but I mostly would just go, ding, attack heavy, ding, heavy. Ding,
yeah, that also works, but it requires good timing.
Yeah, which I had.
I could have done that because I did get like halfway through Sekiro, so I could have if I wanted to.
Yeah,
but
you chose not to.
You know that little thing at the beginning of the little text at the beginning of the game scared me off. It's like, oh, if you die too many times, you restart the game, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want that to happen.
That thing scared me too. But okay. Trigger warning for psychosis, like and a lot of delusions, hallucination stuff relating to all of that,
and abuse,
and mutilation,
blood.
Yeah, just all of that first. I wanted to get that out of the way. So, this game was very interesting. Because did you end up watching the?
I did watch the feature. Okay. Yes.
Because this game, featured heavy, not description, theme, but heavy portrayal, a heavy portrayal into a woman with psychosis, Senua, and she has
very heavy visual and auditory hallucinations.
Yes, and this game was done in a way that they really looked into, different people that had psychosis and that hear different hallucinations, hear different voices and see different visions and delusions and stuff.
I mean, I don't have psychosis, so I don't know if it's actually like an accurate representation. But from the feature that they gave at the
it seemed like
they did well in that respect. I mean, representation is good for society or whatever. I don't know.
I think it is. I think having something where like a game where this main female lead is such under heavy duress and just constant like anguish, because like I don't know how you felt during the entire game, but there were parts where I would be like hearing the voices. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up and let me just focus on the fight. And I'm like, that that is probably how I'm supposed to feel, right? Where I'm supposed to be annoyed by all the stuff that's going on, or like confused or like disturbed.
Well, like for me, that I think that all the auditory hallucinations was the most memorable part about the game, because like if y'all don't know at home, oh fuck,
Christ. What the fuck was that?
I used to work in game dev, and I do sound design and stuff.
In game dev, yeah.
Yeah, and the sound design in this game is like some top tier shit for the sound design. I think it is very interesting how the entire game there's just a whole bunch of voices yelling at you.
Yeah.
And they ASMR you.
Yeah. Yes, they do ASMR. I noticed that too. But it's very interesting because like you'll have some of the voices be like, "Oh, you should be doing this," and like they'll like if you've some of them you're like, "Oh yeah, that's probably where I'm supposed to go," and then other voices are just like,
They're just straight up lying to you.
They're just lying like I was like, "Oh, you'll never make it." It's like you can't say that. You have like they're fighting with each other and stuff, and then you get to hear later on voices of like her father. The darkness, which is eventually revealed to be her father, and it's very good. Like I think the idea of having a person with a mental illness in a time where they did not know what that was, along with being ingrained in a certain type of religious following or like because in the beginning she didn't even believe in these gods or anything. Like
they were just stories told to her by the guy.
Yeah, by oh my gosh,
Druth.
Druth, yes.
Yeah,
and that I thought that was very interesting because she had her own beliefs, and then when she heard this, she's like her visions culminated into those into these visions of that's correct. Which I thought was very interesting, and her journey throughout that is like very. Like it's a very personal journey, right? Like
it's a classic Vision Quest scenario.
Yeah, and the whole thing is mostly just about it's a Norse setting essentially, but going through this woman trying to come to terms with like herself and all the stuff that's happened to her. Really, like that's essentially the plot of
the hardest battles are fought in the mind.
Yeah. Because the mind can make things real. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, going back to the voices real quick, something that blew my mind as a capital G gamer.
Yes.
So typically, when you have this style of combat, where it's like the classic hack and slash with your light and heavy attack and dodge and kick and stuff, when an enemy, if you want to pair your counter, like say in Batman Arkham Asylum or in Sekiro, if they're doing an attack that you can parry, there's usually some sort of like a visual indication that they're going to be doing that. But in this game, there's no HUD, which I already like that there's no HUD. But they go even farther than that, because like instead of having a visual indicator that you can parry something or that you need to dodge or whatever, the voices start screaming in your ear, "You're surrounded, get out of there."
Yeah, I do like that too.
Dodge.
Like, you're gonna get hit. I'm gonna get hit. I'm like, ah.
It is, I think that's very clever. That's probably like in concept, that's my favorite part about the game, because it's such an innovative way to do like sound design in a hack and slash.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ways that they incorporate the game design to feature how a person with psychosis could possibly see like all this stuff happening. Like I like the mechanic of like you dying is kind of her seeing herself die.
Yeah,
like because she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die like this.
Yeah, and then like that cutscene blends seamlessly with her like watching herself die, and you go back in, and it's like. It's really cool.
Yeah, I also like that, like, because she's dying, like, this darkness is consuming her. So, like, it shows that, the more and more she's, like, consumed by this stuff, like, she herself is just being lost in all of it. It's like, it's all very symbolic.
That's why she doesn't wear sleeves, so you can see the darkness creeping up her.
That is also, yeah. Also,
I was wondering about that, because, like, she's supposed to be in, like, Scotland or whatever. It's cold. She should be wearing a jacket.
Hey, mobility. She's about to fight.
She's a warrior.
She thinks she's going to fight. She doesn't really fight anyone.
Well, does she?
No. Herself? Her demons?
Hella?
Herself.
Hella. She hella be fighting.
Anyways. She be hella fighting. Yeah, this game was pretty good. I think it was, like I said, some of the fighting got just kind of repetitive.
Yes, I do agree that if there were fewer fights, like especially near the end, I felt like there were a lot of pointless arena fights with a bunch of waves of enemies that don't matter. Mm-hmm. Like in the when you go into the mountain and then in that like final stretch towards the final boss.
Yeah.
Which wasn't even really a final boss, but whatever.
And I also think some of the puzzle stuff was kind of just dumb.
Okay, so
some of the stuff I thought was really cool. Some of the stuff I did not think
yes.
was really cool.
So here's the thing, right? I don't like puzzles. I just straight up do not like them.
Yes.
If I do not immediately see the solution to a puzzle, I will never figure it out, and I will have to look at a walkthrough. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but that is something that is a consistent trait that I've noticed in myself every time I play a video game that has puzzles in it, whether it's Legend of Zelda or Portal, Antichamber, or this now. And I like how when you're finding like the runes and stuff to open the doors that the environment shifts and you can that's where that rune is, but then sometimes it's just it's painted on the ground, it's literally just there.
Yeah. Some of them I was like some of them I was like I just missed completely. I'm like, where is it? And I just held the focus button and I was just looking around and I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Because I also, when you get closer to where the rune is supposed to be, a bunch of runes
start having visual hallucinations.
Yeah, it's like, it's all there. Like, it all makes sense.
Yeah. And a quick aside, those, like, glowing sprites that are just sort of, like, wispy and go in and out of your focus looks really cool.
No, yeah, it's very good. I also like that, like, sometimes you'll have to see certain portals, and then they'll give you a view of a different perspective, or like or
those
hidden
are
objects.
Those are cool, yeah.
Because it's just like your mind's literally playing tricks and stuff.
Those were heavily featured in the level of Belraven. I remembered the name.
Hey, let's go.
Belraven's stages were pretty cool, but they were also hard because they were puzzles, and I had to go to a walkthrough.
Yeah, that's fair. There was 2 puzzles that I had to look up. One was where you first get into the mountain and it's past the bridges, and there's like a staircase that goes upward if you go to the right.
Yeah, I
didn't see that staircase.
Yeah, I didn't see that staircase either. I was on that puzzle for like 20 minutes more than I should have.
Yeah, I was literally Googling it. I'm like, where's the third puzzle? And then, or where's the third rune? And then they're like, oh, you just go up
the stairs.
I was like,
what do you mean go up the stairs? But okay, so since we both had, I had this thought that when I did it gamer instincts. I missed it because the game's designed badly, right?
Yes, it's
first gamer design, first gamer instinct. But now since you did it, I'm like, it's confirmed bad game design. It was dark. The only light you had was your torch, and it doesn't light up shit.
Yes. I mean, I think that's part of the point, right? Where it's just like she can't tell what's really, here and stuff you can't really see.
Yes, but not when it gets in the way of you, the player, solving a puzzle.
Yeah. But like I said, to me, it only happened twice. It was that time and where you have to, when the light's out and the darkness is going to get her, and she runs under this waterfall, and she has to go and break down this bridge.
Oh, that one, yeah.
And then when the bridge goes down, you have to run back.
Yeah, I also had to look up a walkthrough for that one, but I didn't get too stuck on that one.
That one I got stuck, because I thought you had to break down the bridge and then keep going through the little hole in the fence or whatever. And I was like, oh no, you have to come back out and then go all the way around and light the other torch. And so I was like, those are the only 2 puzzles that I had to look it up. Because I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I'd say for like a good half of the puzzles I had to look up.
Oh.
Because I'm bad at puzzles.
Well, that's fine. But there was one, like, okay, the running when everything's on fire. I thought that's the dumbest shit, because that's where I died the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you go to the ruin and then you get the vision of the village on fire in the past and you're running through.
Yeah, and everything's on fire. Yeah.
I died one time during that, and that was like
I died like
crossing
3.
It's when you're crossing the beam, and I didn't know how the mechanics for balancing worked yet.
Oh, see, no, I didn't have a problem with that. I would just like I think I looped around once, and that took too much time. So when I got to the entrance, I was like a foot away, and I died. I was like, cool,
Wow.
fucking. Or when I fought one of the enemies and they killed me because I got too close to like the edge or something, and I just didn't know where I was going. I was like,
I died a few times to enemies like blocking me to the end of the stage, and I couldn't dodge. But...
yeah, that's fair.
Okay. At the end of the game, how much of the darkness, like, where did the darkness creep up to you? How far did you get?
I think like we're here. I think.
Okay, I got to the neck.
Oh, you got pretty high.
Yeah.
I think the largest was like there's a line or two like on her.
Okay. Because like for the first like 80% of the game, it was just like halfway up the forearm.
Yeah.
And then once I got into the mountain, just
You're like, oh no. Like I died a lot to the darkness, like because I would just be like, where am I going, and then I just die or something.
like in the flashbacks.
No, when you're running from light to light.
Oh, with the beast.
Yeah, with the beast.
Oh.
Sorry, not the darkness.
Yeah, I didn't die to the beast at all.
Well, I
not even in the boss fight.
Well, the boss fight, the fighting parts of it were not that bad because like at the very last fights that you have to do, I survived for a long time, and I'm like, how many of them am I supposed to kill? And then I realized,
well, for me, like the darkness was already up to her neck, so I was like, all right, this is the final stage. I can't die here. I'm going to have to reset the podcast tomorrow. I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm at the very last arena. There's too many of them. Why did they put so many of them here? And then I died, and I'm like, oh, God. And then I was supposed to die.
Yeah, there's an animation. Like, oh, okay. I know we're just kind of going off on just whatever. We didn't, just talking about whatever. How many rooms did you find? Or how many did you miss? Or whatever?
Okay, I think I missed like a third of them.
Okay. I missed 4 of them. And I mean,
I wasn't trying to look for them. I was just getting at them when I saw them.
I was trying to look for them. I missed 2 very early on in, not Loki, but the bird guy. What's the guy's name?
Belravin?
That's Belravin?
Okay, so you started with Belravin.
Yes.
I started with the fire giant.
Yeah. I did the other way. So I started with Belravin, and I was like, oh, I missed the last 2 of his section. And then I got all of them really well. Like, I was on top of it, and then in, like, Hella's section, I missed 2 also. So I missed 2 at the very beginning and very end. And I don't know if you saw the cutscene for... what happens when you finish the room.
No, I didn't.
So what happens is Druth comes up to you, and like right before you enter Hella's area, and he says, he's like, I basically was a guide for the Vikings that to see what villages to take, but I wasn't the only one. He said the village that Senua's boyfriend was at, like someone in a dark hood came up to the Vikings and said, "Oh, I'll make a deal with you so you can take the village. I can
just
leave."
Like the dark hood that the father wears.
Exactly.
Whoa.
And so there, like it's hinted at that the father got the Vikings in there and he just dipped because the father in this game,
he's
terrible.
He's the main villain, pretty much.
He's basically the villain. He's vile. He's atrocious. Like he burns the mother at the. I like that they waited a while. There's a lot, Sorry again, jumping around, but I like that they waited a long time to tell what happened with the mother. Because I was like, what's your mother going on? Her dad kept her in prison and did rituals, and I was like, I don't, what else is going on? And then the mother, there's like, oh, he burned her at the stake. Like it's like she's crazy. like she doesn't know what's going on. Like he's psychotic. He's like I do like that. That's a portrayal of Senua and her mother have an actual mental illness that they see a lot of things, but he's the crazy one.
Yeah,
because neither of them are like, yeah, we'll just murder someone like just because why not? He's like, what typical people would say like sane is, and he does far more vile things and terrible things, which is
he does
typically the case, but
yeah, he does it in the name of God, in the name of protecting the village from the plague, in the name of all this. I keep my daughter in a cage, and I burn my wife at the stage,
and then I run away. But so yeah, the father was very evil. He was the voice inside her. He was one of the voices inside Senua's head. Well, who else? We got what's his face?
I like Druth. I think Druth is
Druth is
pretty cool.
cool.
He told me things about Ragnarok. I'm like,
Yeah,
ooh.
yeah. I was gonna say okay. Well,
I remember this from the cutscenes in God of War.
yeah. I was gonna say like, how do you feel about like all the Viking lore that we discovered? Because like I said, it wasn't necessary to anything.
No,
So
I thought it was nice. Whenever I found a rune, I would listen to it. I didn't go out of my way to find them though.
that's fine.
I like how he starts every story with, "You know, the Northmen say."
Yeah. It's like, I didn't. The only story, well, I knew Ragnarok a little bit. I knew like Fenrir eats up the sun and kills Odin. I knew that Surtur is the one that destroys.
The fire giant stomps on Asgard and it blows up, and then Thor takes the Asgardians and he's like, "Asgard is a people, not a place."
Yeah, and then fucking Thor smashes, or Hulk smashes.
Thanos comes and kills Loki.
But one of the ones, because you're gonna get mad again, but in Fate,
Yeah, in Fate.
in Fate,
Okay.
Sigurd and Brynhild are talked about, and they are characters. And so I was excited when they talked about Graham, the sword that belongs to Sigurd, because when they talk about Graham a little bit, I was like, that sounds familiar. And then they talk about the story of Sigurd's dad and all that stuff with a lot of, there's incest and the betrayals and stuff and people dying. Then the sword breaks and stuff. But then they get to Sigurd's stuff. I was like, oh, this is what I know. Like, oh, I know that he kills oh my god, the dragon. What's it called?
Ketil? No, that's Vinland Saga.
That's Saga.
One of the dwarves became the dragon. Fafnir, yeah.
Yeah, he kills Fafnir. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, also, which made me realize, I was like, oh, dragon hoarding gold is much older than I thought it was, because it's a Norse.
I mean, most cultures have some mythology with dragons. It's not exclusively.
I know, but I'm just saying the hoarding wealth and stuff.
Yeah.
That I didn't know came from like a Norse, or not exclusively Norse, but that was one origin.
Yeah. I mean, like
dragons I know have been around a while.
Yeah.
Dragon.
There's a like I used to know a bit more about Norse mythology because I had to know the plot to like Das Rheingold, the Wagner play, or the Ring Cycle rather, the Wagner plays.
I don't know what that is.
Like I said, music major, hi guys.
Weeb. But yeah, the Norse stuff, the mythology was all very interesting. I thought it was very cool. Like just actually, this is neat. Like, let's see. Is there any specific thing you want to talk about before?
Did it give you the tingles?
ASMR wise?
Yeah.
Sometimes the voices were. I mean, they got cool voice actresses and voice actors.
Well, it was mostly just one voice actor. The main girl, yeah. Which we found in the feature, that was her first acting role, which is good job. Damn.
Yeah, that was very good. Real quick, I like that Senua every now and then would turn to the camera.
Oh yeah,
and be all like
yeah.
What are you saying?
I was okay when that was happening. I was trying to figure out like what that meant, like symbolically, because she's looking at the camera, breaking the fourth wall. So are we the player, her dad? Is she looking at, when she looks into the mirror? It also like cuts to her looking into the camera. Are we Senua and wrote this? Like, what's going on here?
I took it as we're just one of the voices that just popped up and we're newer, and she popped up during her quest. Is that essentially?
Okay.
That's how I interpreted it. Like, as I don't know how you interpreted it. I mean, like obviously what you just said, but
well, like the first scene. The first voice we hear is one of the we later find out is just another one of the voices in Senua's head, and she's all like, "Oh, let me tell you the tale of Senua. She's already dead, but that voice was wrong. That wasn't happening in the past. That was happening right now."
Yes, and she didn't die, or she could have. We don't know. Like, I don't think she's probably not dead. They're making a second one.
Well, I mean, the second one might not even be Senua. We don't.
I think it is.
Is it? Senua's
Survival.
crampifice.
Oh.
She gets a leg cramp.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, she self-harms a little bit. She burns her skin, her face.
Well, that's because she fell and needed to get the thing. Cauterize the wound.
I thought she just missed it. I thought the wound was like this and she cut herself like that.
Oh, well,
Maybe she didn't.
She's bad at medicine. I don't know.
I could just completely misread that then. It's my bad. Yeah, she falls off.
I mean, it could have been both.
It could have been both, I guess. Because I thought that was directly after she was talking about how, her father talking through her was like, you're a disgrace and you have darkness in you and you are going to die.
Yeah, go ahead, feel bad. No one else can feel bad for you or something.
Yeah. We can move on to what's her boyfriend. What's his name?
Oh, Daryl's or something? Darius? Draxel. Dennis?
Yeah.
Daniel. Danny Boy.
I'm Googling it. Senua's BF.
Damien.
Dillion. Okay, well, before we go into Dillion, that was a good clap. What were we saying? Oh, Dillion. We're on to Dillion now.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy, and he gets sacrificed to.
He gets sacrificed to.
We don't even know who, right? Just a Norse god, right? To Hela.
The Northmen say that if you tear open somebody's back and hang him from a tree, then it's good fortunes for you.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we're also watching Vinland Saga at the moment, and I watched. There's a Viking movie that came out not that long ago.
The Northman?
Yeah, the Northman. Was it the Northman? Yeah.
Yeah,
that
we
watched.
we saw it, yeah.
So we also watched the Northman, and so I was just thinking about all of these like Norse stuff going on. I'm like, very different.
I mean, in the last 10 years, Norse mythology has really like skyrocketed.
I would like to.
It started with Skyrim, and you can't debate me otherwise.
I can't know. Someone else can.
Like when I was a kid in like middle school and elementary school, it was all about Greek mythology. Like Percy Jackson and shit. Yeah. Now it's all about like New God of War went from Greek mythology to Norse mythology. Yeah,
Norse mythology is cool. I want to see more. I want to see a movie with like just pure Norse mythology.
The Northman.
I said I said pure Norse mythology, not just like kind of.
Is there?
I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. I would like to see more of that.
All right.
And anyway, Dillion.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
I haven't watched Love and Thunder.
I haven't either.
I heard it was bad.
I also heard it was bad.
Oh well, I'm glad we agree.
I didn't even like Guardians 3 that much, even though it was like the good one.
Yeah, you have a bad opinion on that.
It's another Marvel movie.
It's good.
We've been seeing Marvel movies for like 12 years.
It's one of the better Marvel movies.
It's not that much different than okay, whatever.
He's wrong on this. He hasn't watched a Marvel movie in.
It functions
10 years.
as a film better than like Doctor Strange did, but
yes, it did by a lot.
So you're saying
we're talking about Guardians.
It's great because it's not bad.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's good. And also, those are bad.
6 out of 10. What were we talking about?
Oh my lord! You can shit on him for that. We're talking about. We're talking about Dillion.
Oh, Dillion.
Yeah, I like that he was like.
Hot boy Dillion.
Yes, I like that he was very supportive of Senua and was really trying to help her, like come out of, on her shell and just going through all this stuff.
He got that proper like social worker training, so he knows not to like keep her in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bar. I also like that the one time where he seemed like he was mad at her, like that probably didn't happen because Senua obviously has hallucinations and delusions and stuff. So he's just like, I didn't say that. I don't blame you for this plague.
What are you, stupid? You didn't do this. You're not powerful enough to do this, dumbass.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said, verbatim.
Yeah. But then she's like, no, I have to go to the trees. And then he's like, "No, stop!" And then she meets Druth.
Ruth.
Yeah, and then
She becomes a Gelt. Geld?
Yeah, Gelt, I think.
Gelt?
I think she's considered a Gelt. Yeah, because that's someone with mental disorder and that goes to the woods to
Well,
find.
no, isn't it a Gelt just like someone who self-exiles himself, though?
Really, I thought it was someone with mental. That specifically goes
Because like
to
you
that.
could become a Gelt because you have severe mental illness and you're trying to like.
Oh, maybe I could be wrong.
I mean I first heard of the term when I was watching the feature thing. So
Me too. But yeah, it was with Dillion. Dillion's cool. He comes up quite a bit, especially when they're about to get Graham the sword.
yeah, like all the flashbacks are like 3 out of the 4 flashbacks are Dillion being a good guy.
Yeah, it's good. I liked. It gave me a creepy vibe, but I guess that's the point. When like it was all darkness and you kind of just had to like walk your way through, and just like it's like it's okay.
I
Just
beat
keep
the system
going.
on that one.
What do you mean?
At the beginning of the game, I set the brightness to like midway high so I could see all the enemies.
Okay. But yeah, all the enemies I was like, ooh, I don't want to touch these guys, but I didn't. So
I didn't either. Gamer.
gamers. Let's see. What else? What specifically do you want to talk about?
Okay. Favorite segments of the game? I really like. Okay, so I'm all about like aesthetics, right? Moments of impact, and like
He is.
how the visuals and audio and like the context of the story all come together to form a sum greater than the sum of the greater whole than the sum of the great parts.
Something like that.
Something like that. The section where she like when she's grabbing Graham and she goes to hell. And like all the hands are grabbing at her, all of the bodies are like the giants and smaller people are just
her
writhing
mom and stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
writhing in pain and anguish and on fire, and it's all fiery and like lots of particle effects and shit. I like that segment.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, where
He's walking to Hella, or
she's walking towards Hela, and there's like big versions of people that are like appearing and crumbling, and things are going in and out of existence. Platforms are appearing beneath her. However, in both of these segments,
there's a lot of fighting.
there's way too much fighting.
There's a lot of fighting.
It's like, damn, I want to be taken by these aesthetics, but you're having me go through like 3 unnecessary fights here. This is getting really tedious, guys.
Yeah, I agree. Like the fights were really heavy on those, and the aesthetics do look very good.
I got a couple of really good like desktop screenshots.
I need to get some. I gotta look for some backgrounds.
Yeah, the problem is that most of the time, like Senua is like center left, taking up most of the frame, so I couldn't get as many as I wanted. But you know, there's no like first person look option, so I could have gotten a lot more.
I'll Google some wallpapers that probably someone got. Just
Here's one right now. That's 20 minutes of your life gone right there, Chris.
that's like 20 minutes. Takes 30. What else is really good out of
Senua's sacrifice.
Senua Sacrifice?
Senua
I just okay.
Oh, okay. We both have really beefy gaming PCs, right?
I have a gaming PC. I don't know, but really beefy.
Oh, okay, mine's pretty beefy. It's not top of the line or anything. I'm still like 2 generations behind on the graphics card. I'm running a 2060 with an 8-core i5, and it was fucking dying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think I know why. Because like there's a lot of shadows, which are really hard on CPUs, but there's also a lot of water on the ground, which means it has to render everything twice. So normally it wouldn't be an issue, but they want to get all fancy with the lighting. So
They want to get fancy. Okay, so
this 6-year-old game is making my 1-year-old gaming PC sputter.
I was doing that a lot.
Well, no, it was just. This is the hardest game my PC has ever had to run.
Oh. my computer was fine, I guess.
Good for you.
I think. I mean, like, I guess it started a little bit when some of the fights happened when there was like 30 enemies. Like, other than that, I guess it was fine. I think it does it like once or twice, but there's nothing really. To me, maybe because I just didn't pay attention that much, just, like to my computer.
I got a bit of lag in some of the busier like
yeah,
lighting and reflecting areas, but it wasn't that bad.
yeah, same. You know what I really liked? I liked the anxiety that it gave me, because there were certain scenes or certain like not mechanics, but just sections that I was like, oh my god, I have to do this really quickly or I'm gonna die. Like I have to really do this, or like you said, like the anxiety of, oh, the darkness is gonna kill. I don't want to start all over. Like that's, I don't want to do that.
I mean, I play a lot of roguelikes, so I'm kind of used to that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this is like an 8-hour game, so I didn't want to have to do all that over again.
Yeah. But yeah, I just really like that because it shows we're kind of more into Senua's mindset of just being anxious about all these things that are going on, and all the chaos that could happen, and just, oh, something's going to chase me or something's going to kill me, and even though from like in my perspective, oh, it's just a game, it's fine if I lose a little bit or whatever, but to her this is life or death, right? Because that's the whole point. That every
yeah, that's why she's looking at you, the player.
She's like, oh,
it's symbolic.
Stop it. She's like, stop talking to me. Everyone shut up. I also like how in random sections, like, the darkness would kind of come in and just...
Oh, yeah, make everything, like, glitchy and stuff?
Yeah, and then dissipate sometimes through story elements or just walking to a different area.
You see, like, for me, like, you go into a new area and then you see, oh, this wall has a bit of, like, a moving, shadowy texture to it. That means there's going to be a fight up in this arena right over here. Oh, goody.
Well, yes, there's that. You didn't like that.
Well, no. Most of the fights were pointless.
Yeah.
It's just there to, like, break up the pace of the puzzles and the exploration, which is, from my perspective as a visionary game designer myself, I think is a bit of a cop out.
I think it's fine, only because how I perceive it is Senua is looking at it like these guys are in the way of these sections of where I'm supposed to get to.
Oh man, 100 of the same guy are in the way to my next puzzle.
I mean, yeah. She's delusional.
It makes sense in the story, but it comes at the cost of actually making an enjoyable gaming experience, Chris.
Yeah, that's valid.
They just had to dial it back a little bit and it would have been fine.
No, I agree. I think most of it comes from, for me at least, like the end. Like I don't really have a problem with them in the gods section, the fire giant and the
I thought yeah, it got worse near the end. I'll agree to that.
Like that for me is when I was like, okay, this is much. Like when I would go up the stairs to look at the bridge to like kind of align it. Because I like that mechanic. I like trying to see a certain perspective and be like, oh, okay, I could see it now.
I had a really hard time with that puzzle because I didn't know where to go.
Oh.
And also, after you solve one part of the puzzle, you have to fight a room of enemies. And then you solve another part, you have to fight a room of enemies.
Well, that's what I was getting to. The room of enemies, after every time you solved it, that was really annoying for me. Yeah. I was just like, okay,
and especially like just before you start that puzzle, Senua looks at the camera and she's like, yes, this is the last task. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
The relief and then the stress of, that's a lie. We keep fighting.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get in some controversy here.
Uh-oh.
What do you think was the worst section of the game?
Like just area or just
because like the game's like split up into very discernible sections. You have Belraven and then the fire giant, then the bridge and the flashback trials, and you go in the mountain, and then there's the final run to Hela. Mm-hmm. Which section was the worst in your mind? Because I have mine.
You want to go first?
Sure. I think the worst section was when you're in the mountain.
I was also thinking that. I was leaning towards that. I think the in the mountain stuff was like when you fall all the way to the bottom. I was like, we don't need this.
Okay. For me, I like the beast.
I
think his fight is cool, and I think the whole dashing from like light source to light source is a cool mechanic, and then you get a torch. It's like, ooh, that's a nice little progression of how the mechanics work. But I'm all about aesthetics, and it's a dark cave, so you can't see anything. I had the same problem with Dark Souls 3, because if you haven't played Dark Souls 3, there's this one section which is fucking masterclass, juiciest S tier aesthetic when you're in Ethereal, the snowy place.
Yes.
with like the
It's spelled like this.
with the gothic architecture and the snow and the guys who walk very steadily. It's super aesthetic as fuck. And then the next area directly after that is a jail, and it's just gray and brown. And then the area after that is is more gray and brown.
I see how it can be a letdown when you see other cool things because you see more cool things that are different. I think for me, just the mountain stuff felt tedious without any, like. I think since for me, like, we kind of fought already a lot of the inner demons and had Dillion help us, like, before we got Graham the sword, and then we went to hell and stuff. That when we went to the mountain with like the beasts and stuff, I was like, okay, we're kind of retreading a little bit.
But Chris, it's thematic. She's getting over her fear of the dark, of the darkness,
the darkness within her. Yes,
the
that's
beast.
Fine. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that's fine. But I feel like it was just a little longer than it needed to be because we already touched on it.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's probably the worst. I don't know. I just didn't like the entrance into Hell's area because
the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, like, just because, like I said, the fights, like, just the constant fighting. I was like even the darkness stuff, I was getting annoyed, but I was like, oh, this is interesting, and like, oh, this is so cool, and I like the beast, and seeing that her father and stuff, then her father like come to fruition in Hella's actual area, which I liked. On all the Hella's area stuff was, again, a lot of the stuff for me like was bogged down by like some of the fightings. Like,
sorry, I had to recover from the mistakes I've made.
You better. Anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there. I mean, the mountain stuff was. I felt like I was a little bit more disengaged just because I felt like the other stuff was just a little bit more interesting. With just the area of trying to get into the gate of Hella or into...
This game is not quite no filler all killer.
Yeah,
not quite. It's mostly killer.
Yeah, it's still like I said, even with all this stuff that we're talking about,
it still gets a juicy
good.
out of 10. There's a couple things bringing it back from a juiciest.
Yeah, and even if I still think even if you don't like the stuff, I still think it's an important thing that you could like learn from. Like, I think like for me, representation and,
is it good for society? Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, on one hand, I care because it's like objectively good, but on the other hand, representation doesn't necessarily mean that that's a good piece of art.
No, I don't.
So when I'm consuming the medium, it's not really something I'm looking for. But
I also am not looking for it. I think it's important, and if it's done well, then great. And that's what I think this is.
You know what? Okay. So what's something I like that has good representation? Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
That movie is really good.
Yes.
And it's representative for like Asian Americans, so that makes it better.
Yes.
Which means that I can brag about it because like my favorite movie.
Fair enough. But like I said, for me, I think that's important. Like I said, I don't think it's the only thing, and that you should just say, "Oh, it's a good game" or something just off that. I think that because it's a good game, and that it has like representation, I think that that's important. Like, because you could, like I said, you could dislike it, but I still think that it's pretty good. And
Yeah. So if someone doesn't like Senua's sacrifice,
yeah, that's
you
valid.
can just ask them what you don't care about the representation,
Don't say that.
and then you'll win the argument.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, you ignorant slut. But I think this game was very interesting. Like I said, I think if I didn't get if the fighting was just a little bit more complex, it probably wouldn't be as tedious, I guess, or there were more enemies, different varieties.
Yeah, because I thought the complexity of the combat was good enough for how long of a game it was, but
Yeah,
there's
that's fair.
okay. So there's the like I agree, more variety of enemies would have made this a lot better. But how many enemies were there? There was the Bell Ravens guys with the one sword with the crow head.
Yes.
There were the shield guys, the
mace
burly
guys.
mace guys. There was
It's just a regular swordsman, the giants.
the giant, and then the guy with the two things.
Yes, that's 2 sickles. I think
That's 6, 5, 6.
it's around there. We didn't count, obviously.
I mean, we're used to Dark Souls, so it's fucking
Yeah, but those are also way longer.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're bad at the game, they're really long. But
That's why it takes you so long.
like me, I can beat Dark Souls 1 in like 10 hours probably.
I don't know how long it would take me now. I'm not that bad at Dark Souls.
I mean, my first run through was like 80 something, but you know.
Yeah, I get it. I'm bad at Bloodborne. That game I'm bad at.
I'm bad at Sekiro.
I haven't tried Sekiro.
I didn't finish Sekiro because I'm bad at it.
But yeah, I think this. Like I said, I think, I think that games like this, or not just games, but stuff like this where they take something that's not represented well and then make some interesting aesthetic choices that like embellish or like work with the ideas of it. Because like I think the idea of having someone with like this psychosis in a mythological era, right? It's not actually mythological, but where she perceives it as such, I think it's like that's just interesting. Like that's just as a concept, I think that works very well, and I think in execution it did mostly well. And I think doing some stuff like that, obviously not 1-to-1, but in different areas or times where you're like, oh, this person perceives things differently in this way or whatever. I think that that type of storytelling, I think, is really cool. And I would like more of that.
Well, you are going to get more of it, Chris. Because there's a sequel coming out, baby.
Well,
Woo! Woo! Hellblade 2, Senua and her dog friend. She finds a dog. I don't know.
just fight a dog.
She finds a dog.
Anything else you want to bring up about the game? I feel like what does Enzo will be like? I should talk about this. Oh, okay.
Creative use of mixed media, FMV. All of the the Druth, the father, and not Dareth, Dillion, because he didn't show up, but the mother as well. For all of the people in her past, they were done in FMV, and the whole time they did it in a way that you're kind of like, oh, is this FMV? I can't really tell, but I can tell that something's different about these guys. So I thought it was pretty clever the way they did that. Also looked pretty cool.
It did look really cool.
You find your mom's face on a roof, and she talks to you.
It's on the top of the mountain.
And on a roof, on the bridge. Yeah, I guess you missed that one.
Well, I didn't. So was that the mother then? All the faces? Because there's one in a cave, and then one on a.
I missed the one in the cave. I did not find the one in the cave.
There's one next to a bridge too, not near some water, like a lake or like a river.
Yeah, there was.
I didn't know that was all the.
I think I missed that one. There's another one on the side of like a big stone wall. I don't remember what she said, but there was the puzzle, like when you're crossing the bridge, like you haven't gotten to hell yet, but you have a puzzle where you go outside, you're in this thing and it's raining, and then there's like the red wooden beams, and you have to go up to the second floor and go around to peer at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go around one area and you find her face on a roof.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that one. So there's a lot. We both saw a couple.
Yeah. For the completionists out there, there's stuff to complete
Yeah.
if you care about that.
I was one achievement away from 100% of the game's achievements, and it made me sad because I'm pretty sure it was the runes, and I missed 4, and I was like, fucking. That's me.
Gamer over here.
I mean, like, because it's just I would like to finish them while I'm playing, because if I don't, I'm just never gonna come back to it.
Yeah.
Like,
I do not see myself replaying this ever.
yeah, probably not. Like, I mean, some of the games we've played, I would want to replay. Like, I would like to replay Omori for its other routes.
Yeah.
Because I know there's more in-depth stuff. I would like to continue finishing Hades because I just think I have fun playing the game, and there's some content that I've missed. But this one is kind of like you've kind of experienced it. And the other things that like you would see are just well, not trivia, but just
Lore.
I can't think of the other word I was going to say.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Achievements?
Achievements, sure.
I, that doesn't sound like that's what it was.
No, but that works.
Okay.
Easter eggs, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's fine. It's still pretty good. Play the game. I think it's worth playing.
It was probably one of the best games that came out in 2017. I don't remember what. Oh, Breath of the Wild. So no.
2017.
Yeah.
So it was definitely not.
It was definitely not the best game of 2017, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was juicy out of 10. It was pretty juicy.
It was pretty juicy. Hopefully, the second one is just as good, or if not better. Is there anything else?
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Hellblade: 1.
Hellblade: 1. That's it.
Yeah.
Hellblade, Mel Blanc.
Matt LeBlanc.
Mel Blanc, voice of Bugs Bunny.
Voice of Bugs Bunny.
Hey, what's up, Doc? Ah, because he screams a lot.
Sure. I don't know what's real, and I don't podcast. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.
You have to hit the subscribe
or dislike.
button.
Let's find that.
They're gonna get you if you don't.